was the top insight you took away from this leadership conference you went to? And he said, shun the spotlight as long as you can.
That's good.
And you thought, that seems counterintuitive, but no, he's right. Why shun the spotlight?
Ruslan.
Before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan, and this channel exists to encourage you to mastermind your business the master's way. May not be subscribed yet, so if you aren't, please hit that subscribe button as we are on the verge of cracking 10,000 subscribers, and I would love to celebrate that with you. All right, now let's get into the video. Because I think with those of our audience that is aspiring to maybe build a nonprofit, build a business, build a YouTube, build a podcast, you were in a position where you had this corporate world that you built up of one business as a contractor, so you're doing these trainings. But then on the side, it sounds like you're really building up your baby and a thing you're really, really, really passionate about. God almost sounds like he kind of forced you into going the other direction.
Should look at it that way. Sure,
right?
It was providential. Yeah,
providential indeed. How long did that take to go from, okay, I have my day job, I have to work to eat, but on the side, I'm sowing to reap. I'm sowing to reap for the next season of this apologetics ministry taking off. And obviously, a decade removed now, plus decade plus removed, and you guys are crushing it, right? You're on multiple platforms, I think multiple languages, right? You guys are doing an amazing job. How was that process to transition, especially you have a family, you have kids, you have people who are dependent on you. And for the entrepreneurs or the people that are aspiring to kind of build audiences and build ministries, what insights would you have for them?
I'd say be patient. It takes a long time. My mentor, Dr. Norman Geisler, always used to say, get your education first, then do your ministry. So for me, everyone wants to jump into ministry right away. In fact, when you had Sean McDowell here a couple weeks ago, I remember asking Sean, he went to a leadership conference in Florida a number of years ago. I said, Sean, what was the top insight you took away from this leadership conference you went to? And he said, shun the spotlight as long as you can.
That's good.
And you thought, that seems counterintuitive, but no, he's right. Why shun the spotlight? Because in today's digital world, everything you do is recorded, and you don't want to, if you're a true Christian, you don't want to say anything that's going to bring disrepute on Christianity or Jesus when you're too young and you don't know any better.
That's good.
Get educated and then get in the spotlight.
That's good.
So I thought that was insightful. And by the time I went full-time with Cross-Examined, I had been studying apologetics for 18 years. And so we really didn't start doing the live streaming stuff until it became cost effective to do, maybe over the past 5 or 6 years. So now the world's a little bit different. When I started, in order to get credibility in this world, you had to write a book. Now you can, as you've done, create a YouTube environment and you can get credibility that way. So there's really 2 ways to do it. But for every one of you or me that's out there doing this and has, 500,000 followers or whatever, there's thousands that have 200-300 followers, right? So there's no guarantee you're going to get there. Just be patient and keep doing it every day. And I think there's value in doing that. If it happens too quickly, that's not good for your soul. It's just not.
That's good. That's good. The interesting thing about my journey is that I had been walking with Jesus, reading apologetics books, plugged into a local church, on staff at a church, communicating for almost 20 years before I really started talking about my faith and my opinions about my faith and my opinions about culture online. My YouTube channel prior to 2020 was just me having conversations with my friends. Sometimes we talk about faith, sometimes we wouldn't. It was about music stuff. It was about marketing ideas. It was about different things like documenting vlogging. And then the pandemic happened and I pivoted. And that's really what people don't know that I was on YouTube from 2015 to 2020 with less than 15,000 subscribers, 5,000 subscribers in 28. And so I think what you're saying is spot on in terms of don't go after the spotlight, because that could actually ruin you prematurely. And don't be afraid to work a job.
That's right.
To again, work to eat while you're sowing to reap for the next season. How long was that process for you as now you're ending corporate America, right? All these doors are closed providentially before Cross-Examined finally is able to replace that from an income standpoint?
Well, it was a parallel. Cross-Examined, we began in 2006, 2007. By the time 2011 rolled around, we had enough donors to where I could go full-time. Okay, and then it's supplemented by going to a church when a church gives you an honorarium. So it's not all from Cross-Examined. So it was, say, 4 or 5 years that I'm doing this parallel track, that I'm working. Well, let me back up. I mean, when we moved to Charlotte to go to seminary in 1993, I'm starting up this speaking business, and I'm going to seminary at the same time, and I'm also working with Dr. Geisler doing some presentations with him, wrote a book with him in 1998 called Legislating Morality, because all laws legislate morality. And then we're traveling the country doing a program called The 12 Points That Show Christianity's True. And at one point I turned to him, I said, hey, Norm, this needs to be a book. He said, okay, let's write it. So that turned into I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. And that was done by 2004. I'm still going to seminary. I'm still doing corporate training. And then by 2006 or 7, we started crossexamine.org, but that's still a side gig. I'm still doing corporate training all the way to 2011. And by that time, we had enough donors and enough backing in order for me to say, okay, we're burning the bridges in the corporate world. Let's just go full-time this. Now, I actually think it's good for your soul, good for your growth to do something other than ministry. I'm not saying everybody has to do this, but for me, it was good to be in the military for 8 years. It was good to be in the business world for 18 years because if you're just in ministry all the time, I think for some people anyway, you can get myopic. You don't really know what the real world is doing and what it's like to work in corporate America, what it's like to work or be in the military, what it's like to do other things other than straight ministry. So for me, it was helpful for me to do those other things.
Yeah, being bivocational kind of gave you an edge.
Yeah.
Do you think that when you built both things up and they're doing well, do you think that those ships getting burnt where you had to go full throttle?
Yeah, you had to.
You think that also lit a fire under you?
Yeah, by the way, I was paid a lot more in the corporate world than I am now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
tell you that.
which is common.
Yeah, of course.
Tell me that transition into full-time ministry.
Well, we just decided that I would start doing cross-examine full-time, which meant I would be on the road a lot more, doing universities, doing churches, doing conferences for kids, for youth, that kind of thing. So that transition, I was already doing some of that while I was working in the corporate world. So it wasn't a really big transition. I just amped that side up and said, look, I've got more on my calendar now, more time to do this cross-examine ministry.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for watching that video. Guys, I believe that one of the best ways you can build a business is by first building a platform online. So Zach Sparazzo put together a free training for you to learn the #1 metric you can control to help improve your online presence.